stay alive and to live the dream. So I had been studying martial arts since I was 15 years old, and I figured, well, hell, why don't I do stunts?
Mm-hmm.
And so I linked up with Art Camacho. Camacho, they teach a lot of stunt classes in Los Angeles, and Art Camacho told me, man, you talented cat, you got all the moves, you're really good at what you do, but can't act, you suck. Okay, well, hey man, I'm a martial artist, man. Tell me which direction I need to go, and I'm gonna make it happen because that's the discipline that we're supposed to have. And so he said, do a college course or go to an acting school or something like that. And I did. I went to an acting school. I got really good, really fast. You know what I mean? That's the benefit of being a martial artist and being focused and disciplined. And as a man of color, as a black man, as a melanated man,
Yes.
use that word. You have to work triple hard in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
So I was always taught that even coming from the projects, man, because I'm a project kid, I have no shame in saying that. I grew up right down the street from Mike Tyson, man.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, Brooklyn, man, Brooklyn. You got to work extra hard, man, and you got to put your mind to it. And you got to do it.
Right.
You hungry. And
Right.
so I got into stunts,
Mm.
and I did the acting thing, and the stunts kind of segued into me doing the acting thing, and so I really enjoyed that because I was just like, man, I didn't know that I had a desire for that,
Right.
and I got really, really good, really fast, and I started booking roles. I mean, back in those days, man, late '90s, early 2000s, there was nothing but gang member roles and thug roles, and that was easy for me because, like I said, I grew up in the projects, man. I just played my brother and a lot of the dudes that I knew around the street, you know? And so I worked a lot, very, very fast, very easy. I was easy to get along with, but there was a big writer strike that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the writer strike happened. The first people that's not going to work, people of color.
Right. Right.
Like, already at that time that, Asians and Native Americans weren't getting no work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It was like they were hiring people who weren't that to play those
Oh
roles.
yeah, always.
They always need us.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to always remind ourselves of.
Yeah.
And so there was no work. The strike was really bad. It lasted longer than what people thought it was going to be. A lot of people lost their livelihood. A lot of people quit the game. Black people, we were the last ones to work. And so I said, you know what? I've always been that type of person where I'm like, I'm not waiting on nobody.
Right.
I got to put the work forth. I'm creative. I know I can get something done. So I started writing. And from writing, I started producing because when you would write something, you take it to somebody, they'd be like, man, this is really good, but we're not looking to do this right now.
Right.
Wait a minute, a black lead? Because I write with that mind of like, hey, man, anything's possible. Like, And so with all the meetings being turned down and stuff, I was like, man, writing these amazing scripts. I said, man, let me learn this production process. Like, what is producing? And so I started realizing that at that time, there wasn't like hardly any black producers. I mean, the black producers that were producing white content, or they were producing projects with top-notch directors like Spike Lee and people of that caliber. And so I was like, man, like what is this thing? What does it take to be able to get a message out? Because I have a very strong message in my work. When I work on content, there's always I think I teach people a lot in this game, and I said, listen, if you notice that everybody that's in the entertainment industry, they all got agendas. All right. They all have agendas. Women work together to push each other, then they'll break off, and it'll be black women working to push their message. The LGBTQ, they got their message. They work together to push their message. Everyone has a different agenda. And I said, man, I got to figure out what it is that I'm going to do that's going to set me apart from everybody else. And I've always felt like the black men in the black community are not as empowered as we should be.
Right.
So I said, all right, well, I'm writing these scripts. I'm learning how to produce. Still not getting no traction. The writer strike was over. Everybody was back to work faster and harder than they were in the past. And I said, man, like, how am I going to get this done? Well, Canon camera came out, the 5D Mark III. And people started doing it on the Mark II, but the Mark III opened up the door. So I had won Octavia Spencer's Facebook challenge where I got a free camera and I got $1,000. I had shot someone on an iPhone, and I said, let me post this, and it won. And I was like,
Okay.
wow, right, yeah. I was like, wow, okay. So I had got the Canon 60D, but then I graduated from that to the 5D Mark III, and I met some people who were doing films on that camera, and I'm like, hey, let me go learn about this. See, that's the gift we have as melanated men, man. We can go put our mind to something. We ain't got to go and spend $60,000 to go to school or $200,000 to go to school. We can put our mind to it,
Righteous.
and we can learn it and be resourceful enough to make it better.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, I'm going to top what I've been taught. I'm not just going to settle for what I know. I'm going to top what I've been taught.
Yeah.
So I said, man, all these Marvel and DC projects out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably never going to get the opportunity. And mind you, I'm a pretty well noted actor. Like people, they say, man, you're amazing, and I'm like, yeah, but amazing doesn't get you no work.
Right.
So I said, let me figure this out. So I said, I did a couple of shorts. They were award-winning shorts, and everybody's like, oh man, you have a promising future. But Hollywood wasn't knocking on my door, because
Right.
I wasn't willing to play the game they want me to play. I'm not gonna demean or diminish a melanated man's integrity.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like if it's not building my community and it's not building black men, I don't want to do it. I don't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I said, well, I want to get on the superhero craze. I want to get on this thing because a lot of cats were making these little superhero fan films and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they would end up taking these films and as like calling cards and going and getting big budgets and stuff like that. So I was like, well, maybe that's what I need to do. I mean, I've done all the dramatic work. I did a full-length feature film for Lionsgate. Still not getting no heat, not getting no love. So maybe I need to jump on this DC Marvel thing and figure it out. So I got with my boy James in Black, who he's my mentee. He's a fellow warrior, one of my martial arts students in the sword. This brother is phenomenal.
Okay.
Right? Young cat. And I said, man, listen, we had just did this other feature film that I'm still working on getting out. And I said, why don't we work on something? Let's do a superhero. And he's like, all right, well, let me know what the superhero is. And I commissioned him. I said, you're going to write it, right? Because I do that. I'm like, you're going to write it. I don't want to write. I'm tired of writing. And so it took me a couple of days. And I said, well, what superhero hasn't been done yet? And I was thinking really hard. And I went and did some research. I said, man, they hadn't done Black Lightning yet.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about him. Nobody had mentioned him. When they did the Superhero Friends DC television show on ABC, they renamed him Black Vulcan.
Right.
Because they didn't have the rights to Black Lightning. So they renamed him Black Vulcan. And he didn't do a resurgence on the scene until you had the Justice League cartoon in the mid-2000s, the early mid-2000s.
Yes.
I said, how come nobody really knows about this character? I was an avid comic book collector, so I remembered them. But I did my work on it. I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so I hit up James. I said, James, we're going to do Black Lightning. And he was like, Black Lightning? Interesting. So he went and researched it. And I said, yeah, and I want you to play Static.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And so at that time, I was an acting coach. I had one of the most prominent acting studios in Hollywood. I was working with the likes of Amari Hardwick, people like that, of that stature, names that I can't mention. But a lot of students was coming to my class, and I was always big on helping my students out. Like, yo, we're going to do this. If you're interested, just get the wardrobe. You don't have to pay no money. I got the camera, I got the equipment. We're going to shoot this. And so all of my students we all got together. James finished the script. I went and did a polish on it. And we said, we're going to shoot this.